part of the world you're watching this video. Today we have a different uh, video and subject matter. Today we're just going to focus on the body, mind and spirit. The reason for that is because of everything that's going on in the world and the way the earth's shifting, etc. It seems to be having a majority effect on everybody. So I've asked one of the WA community, Nibiru community people, Debbie Taylor, to come and have a word with us because Debbie's a holistic healer. Is that correct, Deb?
That's correct, yes.
And she's got some insights which I found to be, and a lot of other people have found to be quite useful. And she's very, very good. So I'll introduce her now. Debbie, if you want to tell everyone who you are, what you do, etc., and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Prep. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me onto your talk this morning. I really appreciate that and really looking forward to sharing as much as we can in a short amount of time. Well, I'm a naturopath. I'm a holistic healer. And really, primarily, my focus is just to bring a complete and total overall balance to our health, not just on the physical level, but on the mental, the emotional, and especially on the spiritual level as well. So that's really what I focus on.
Okay. And you actually do. You told me the name. Where you look into people's eyes.
Yes, I do iridology as well.
Okay. Yep, that's the one. I was going to say iridology, but obviously that's your ears. So, okay. In regards to, we recently had a Western Australian meeting, community meeting, and you advised everyone that part of the reason that people are feeling so just heavy and down and tired is because of what's happening in the universe at the moment. Do you want to just expand on that a bit?
Yes, absolutely. I think what a lot of us are experiencing at the moment is just an absolute bombardment of radiation, gamma rays, really at the moment, almost on a daily basis. There are certainly days where these are less, but primarily we are currently being affected by all of them. The radiation and the gamma rays, primarily from our sun, the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections or solar flares, as a lot of people would know these. These affect all of us at some level. Our immune systems are working far harder. Many are complaining of experiencing brain fog, confusion, headaches, dizziness, feelings of confusion, colds and flu-like symptoms, stomach bug influences. All of these are being experienced by many of us as our body and our immune system is actually trying to attack and literally trying to diffuse the situation in our bodies at the moment. So what's happening is that our bodies are trying to neutralize these toxins and detoxifying at the same time. So we can certainly understand why so many of us are actually experiencing such incredible levels of fatigue and exhaustion.
Yeah, that's I'm one of those. I'm feeling bloody terrible half the time.
Yes, you'll be surprised how many people are actually feeling like this and not really understanding the reasons why.
Um, would you say it is what's the split between men and women?
Primarily at the moment, we're finding that a lot more women are actually experiencing the very subtle changes in the body, especially the fatigue and the exhaustion. But we're finding that more and more men are experiencing this as well. So probably at this time, about a 60 to 40% split men to women.
Well, I must have female hormones because I feel absolutely shocking just about every day. Um,
I think that might be more of the fact that you might be more in tune. Because it does have a lot to do with our sensitivities, remember, how sensitive we are and how aware we are of what is actually happening at this moment in time in our world.
yeah, okay, that's a good point, Deb. Um, what can someone do who? Okay, let's do it two ways. If someone is listening to this now and they're saying, "Oh, that sounds like me," but I didn't know, and then also if there's somebody listening who is enlightened and knows they're enlightened and is on a higher spiritual plane, what can they do that would be different than the person who's only just becoming aware? Or, what's the difference between the two? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I think first of all, I think for those that are already on this path and have been on the path for quite a while, it's a lot easier to understand and perhaps to grasp and even to accept because it's easier to surrender to the changes and understanding that it's all really just divinely, it's really just a divine aspect of what's happening and divinely guided at this point in time. And we have a much deeper understanding of it. So in that regard, what we do is meditate and really just have very quiet moments, peaceful moments, very still moments where we're just truly sitting down and experiencing what's happening within ourselves and just bringing things back into a centered space or a very balanced, a very peaceful state of mind and heart. For those that are not experienced and not really been on the path for a long time, it's a lot harder because they're still trying to struggle with the concept and the arguments between heart and mind and not really understanding what it's all about and not really understanding that we are actually undergoing one of the largest consciousness shifts on our planet as human consciousness and not singularly but en masse. So it's really big.
Yeah.
And what they could be doing is learning how to meditate, learning to find quiet times, learning to find ways in which they can quiet that very, very busy and active mind that is just always running at 100 miles an hour and just trying to get back in touch with their hearts and what it really feels like to be at peace. Because this is really what is going to guide us, probably the very best way, or allowing us to navigate this journey perhaps a little bit easier. But remember, this is not just the gamma rays and the suns that is affecting us at the moment, but we've got this really big earth wobble going on as well. And we've got the pole shifting effects on top of that.
Yep.
And that is also affecting our physical bodies. So
Yeah.
a lot of people could be affected by vertigo, and that's one of the things we discussed just the other day. Just the increasing sense of vertigo that people are experiencing at the moment. I'm basically seeing that almost with about 3 or 4 patients a day at the moment. So that is also something that a lot of people are experiencing, on top of nauseousness, feelings of disorientation and confusion. And when we understand that the Earth is experiencing a huge planetary shift, the electromagnetic field is shifting through the increase of the gamma rays coming into our planet, we are made up of an electromagnetic field. We are energy. It is what is holding our bodies together. Because a lot of people have been asking, well, why is it affecting us then? But when they understand that we are electromagnetic field, we are energy, and we are affected by that which is happening on our planet and around our universe.
Mm. Good point. Good point. Um, okay, Deb. Well, that makes sense. I've had one. It was a couple of weeks ago. Major episode of vertigo, which was made me feel like I was going up and down and everything else, and oh, it was just shocking. So um, I I found that extremely difficult to deal with, um, and it was only talking to yourself that made me come out of it a bit, and taking that time each day that I felt like I was spinning to just sit down,
Yes,
take 5-10 minutes, and just relax. And I found that I came through it a lot better than if. Thankfully, I knew what to do because I'd spoken to you guys, the spiritualists in our group, and I was fine afterwards. But geez, I would hate to be someone out there right now, and that's why I wanted to do this show is to be sitting there going, "Oh my God, what is wrong with me?"
that's right. That's right. And there are so many that are feeling like that at this moment in time. And literally, really, there isn't a single day in my life when I'm sitting down quietly and very peacefully, just centering myself because I'm also very, very sensitive and feel these things at a very deep cellular level. And there is not a day every single moment in my day that I'm sitting in absolute gratitude for that very fact that we are aware and that we are awake because we are able to navigate this journey a little bit easier than those that are not aware.
Yeah. So, what can you do to dissipate? I'll give you an example, and this is bizarre, but it's actually true. My wife and I have been in the garden recently, and we've got a big magnolia tree. It happens between a magnolia tree and a fig tree we've got. And if we go to touch the magnolia tree or the fig tree, we get zapped with electricity. So,
Yep.
what can you do if you're full of electricity? How do you discharge the electricity?
Well, this probably brings us on to another topic now, and that is what we can do to help us, which is exactly what you're asking. And it brings us onto the topic of things like supplements and crystals. And I know for crystals, a lot of people think it's a very airy, fairy thing, but crystals, in actual fact, is a very important and a very helpful aid that can actually take us through this process. Because a lot of the very grounding crystals that we work with, such as tektite, hematite, just the very dark stones, but they're actually really high in frequency, they can actually help to ground your energy and to help release some of that static.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever heard of things like organ generators and a lot of the Tesla technology that actually helps with neutralizing some of the electric fields around us that are impacting on our health. You know, so there's a lot of magnetic type of things that we can work with and frequency types of things that we can work with that can negate a lot of these influences on our bodies. And of course, to help with a lot of the other symptoms, there's a huge amount of supplements that we can be taking as well. Because what I think a lot of people aren't realizing is that, you know, the internal changes that are taking place within our bodies at the moment is at a very, very deep cellular level. And it's happening because an internal change is taking place within our bodies. We are adjusting to higher frequencies. So we become far more aware and far more sensitive to the things that are taking place. And these higher frequencies that our bodies are experiencing is because we are undergoing a massive shift in consciousness on our planet at the moment.
Yep, yep.
And to bring us on to another topic is the Schumann resonance. Have you heard about the Schumann resonance that has increased so dramatically in the last 2 weeks?
No, I have not actually.
Do you know what the Schumann resonance is?
No, should I?
Well, the Schumann, that's all right, I can tell you. The Schumann resonance is our global electromagnetic resonancy. With other words, our planetary electromagnetic resonancy. And it's actually able to be measured by scientists and have been, I guess, I think since the 40s or 50s, I'm not 100% sure. But I do remember very clearly in the 80s, our Schumann resonances was still running at 7.83. And I can remember in the 90s when it suddenly jumped up to about 11.75 that the scientists were scratching their heads and saying, my goodness, what's happening here? We're not meant to be experiencing such an incredible jump in resonancy on the planet in such a very short amount of time, because normally these type of changes take thousands of years to occur. And then in the 2000s, it went up to about 13.75, and I think in 2012 it went up to about 14.85. So it's increased dramatically, and this is actually increasing our electromagnetic field resonancy. So you can imagine things are speeding up tremendously.
Yep.
And because we are also electromagnetic field beings, we are connected to our planet, so we are feeling it within our cells and within our DNA. And then just 2 weeks ago, the frequency jumped up to 36.
What?
So that's double. That's right. So this is a very, very clear indicator to us that our planet is shifting and changing, and we are part of the changes that are taking place.
Hang on,
And anything,
hang on,
yes,
Deb. Hang on, Deb. So you said in the 90s we were at 9,
that's right.
and this short period of time later, 20 years later, more or less, we're now at 40.
That's correct. Yes. It's quite incredible, isn't it? And I can remember clearly reading an article that a scientist had actually written in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, I think it was. I still read it because I was very interested in this incredible increase and how it was affecting us as humans and why we were experiencing this incredible consciousness shift and awareness and awakening across the world. And the scientist actually wrote a very interesting article explaining that for us at a human level, we would be feeling it or experiencing as a speeding up of time. And literally, that a 24-hour day for us would now start feeling like a 16-hour day. And I thought that was really interesting and probably very, very accurate as well, because we all have been experiencing a sense that time is speeding up.
Well, yeah, that's a definite, yeah. So, well, that's bloody amazing, isn't it? How do
It
they
is incredible.
measure? And I'm guessing that it's not just humans as well. This must be affecting dogs, cats, the apes, animals all around the world. I'm guessing, is it?
It is affecting everything, yes, because we literally what's happening is we're actually going through a quantum leap in consciousness. So everything is, people even just around you are now becoming far more telepathic, and that they will even tell you that they're able to communicate with plants and animals a lot easier than they were able to before. And people think, oh, communicating with plants and animals, that's a bit weird, but no, it's not. It's actually really normal. And the more aware and the more consciously connected you are, and the higher your frequency is vibrating at, you can really communicate with just about anything, and that includes plants and animals. So yes, they are changing and certainly experiencing these effects as well.
I can't speak for anyone else, but my dogs here at home. I've and since our last discussion at the WA meeting, I've noticed a very big dramatic change in my dog's behaviour. Like
Yes.
very surly, not aggressive so much, um, just very surly, tired. The dogs don't seem to have as much enthusiasm. They sleep a lot more.
Oh
Um,
yes, absolutely.
or
That's a very significant change. You're absolutely right. It's almost as if they need as much rest as we are at the moment.
well, it's a valid point, because I was speaking to another person over east who's involved in our group over east, and you know, we're tucked away in our little isolated world here in Western Australia, in Perth, um, and he said the dramatic change in people that he's working with, that he knows, his family members, relatives, sibling, you know, the whole lot. Every single one of them is now saying that there's something wrong.
Absolutely. That there's something different. Things are changing. Things are not the same anymore.
You know, they all find it really difficult to do just the mundane tasks that they always used to do. They're tired all the time. There's just, you know, their memories going, but then also their memories at times so much sharper, they can't seem to keep up. You know, it was a really interesting conversation I had with Shane. It was really good. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on and, you know, do this segment, because there's so many people out there at the moment that are actually hurting, for want of a better term, um,
That's right.
and feeling alone. And well, you're not alone, and we're all in this together. So that's part of the reason
Exactly.
I wanted to do this. Um, just just one thing on supplements. You mentioned supplements, and before you take any supplements, anybody, please go and get some qualified help. Don't just go shoving stuff down your throat because you think it's the best thing to do. Do you want to
Exactly.
do you want to just talk about supplements, Deb? Because you told me about magnesium, and I've been a lot better since I've been on magnesium. So, do you just want to talk to everyone about how the best way to go about the whole supplement process is?
Okay. Before I do that, I'd just like to explain why it is so important for us to be taking supplements at this moment in time, not even really looking at just how we are feeding,
Okay.
but the fact that we really are needing to protect ourselves at the moment through the increased radiation and chemtrails and things that are going out there, but also because our DNA is expanding and awakening. Remember, we've got a lot of what they call junk DNA, which is totally and utterly not junk. It is simply unawakened DNA. And this is what is awakening at this time as well. And this is why we are experiencing this massive awakening process. So, one of the primary things that really assists with DNA and cellular protection, and also just assisting you through these different symptoms of vertigo, confusion, nervousness, anxiety, exhaustion, all the different things that people are feeling, is certainly magnesium. And magnesium is incredibly important because it really supports over 1,244 processes in your body. And a large portion of that is made up of the nervous system. So you can understand why magnesium is so important.
Yep.
And one of the other ones that are very important is vitamin C, because it's a very powerful cellular antioxidant. Zinc, very important as a cellular antioxidant. So it assists the cells to get rid of toxins in a far easier way, because it literally acts as a little policeman around the cells, not allowing for excessive radiation or heavy metals or damage to occur to the cells.
Okay.
The other very primary thing that a lot of people are not aware of is iodine. Kelp, as a lot of people would know, it's seaweed. But when you're looking at a very pure, very powerful iodine supplement, especially the potassium iodides like nascent iodine and noodles iodine, these really help enormously to protect ourselves from the gamma rays and any radiation that could be occurring onto our planet at the moment, which is proven, which is happening at the moment. So these are probably your primary supplements. There's a lot more that one can go into, but at this stage, I would probably say that those are your most important ones. And very largely, it doesn't really interfere with a lot of other medication. Magnesium is one of those that you need to be cautious with if you are taking things like blood thinners. Not wise to be taking magnesium, but any of the others are certainly very safe to take with literally any other prescribed medication that you might be on. But I would still recommend that you go and see your doctor or a good naturopathic practitioner or somebody that can probably guide you a little bit better there.
Okay, that's good advice there, Deb. Um, you know, vital and crucial information. How do people? I will say that one of the reasons why I decided to do this page as well, or this particular segment, was because of the Australian Nibiru webpage, which has now got the spiritual section on it and the girls section, which has proven to be very popular. And you know, people are asking questions, and I've been watching what people have been saying on it. So hence the reason why I asked you to do this, because it seems like every single person that we know has got a spiritual problem.
That's right.
A spiritual, I'm not going to say a mental problem, but we've all got a spiritual problem, um, and a body problem, body per se. Um,
Well,
so
the reason for that is because you've got to remember our physical bodies are now big time trying to play catch up to our spiritual bodies. Our
Yeah,
spiritual beings know, but the physical bodies are playing catch up, and we are actually really just going into a process now of
yeah,
remembering who we really are,
and
and the reason why we're here.
well,
It's actually really exciting.
yeah. Look, I agree. I 100% agree with what we all agreed at the last meeting, was that all of us here that are here and know of what we're doing at the present is because we've all been here before, and
Exactly.
we're all old souls, and we all know what's going on. Although that doesn't equate to the fact that we all feel like crap because our spiritual bodies are trying to our physical bodies are trying to catch up with our spiritual, but we're getting there. That's the good thing. So Deb, look, if people want to contact you, they can either go on the Nibiru or the Australian Nibiru webpage, um, which you have to get access to. You can't just go on it. It's not a free to. It's a secure website, so it's for the Australian Nibiru community and preppers community, sort of, so to speak. Or they can contact you. How, Deb?
They can contact me on my email, which is naturopath@lightcentre.com.au, and I will certainly endeavour to get back to them all as quickly as possible. With any questions, they are more than welcome.
Okay, and we'll leave it there. It's been fantastic, Deb. Thanks for that. I would like to do a follow up, which would be interesting to see how people respond via the comments section on the page, and also how they get back to you. And then perhaps next time we'll do a segment based on that.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you very much, Brett.
All right. God bless, Deb. Thanks, mate.
God bless.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye.
Well, like I said, folks, like we just said, you've got Debbie's contact details there, and obviously you can put comments in the comments section, and Debbie will obviously read them, and if she gets time, she'll get back to you. But contact her on her on her email address. She'll get back to you. Fantastic lady. I've really asked her on because she is really intuitive and intelligent, obviously. So look forward to hearing from you. God bless everyone. Prep out. G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today we have a different video and subject matter. Today we're just going to focus on the body, mind and spirit. The reason for that is because of everything that's going on in the world, and the way the earth's shifting, etc. It seems to be having a majority effect on everybody. So I've asked one of the WA community, Nibiru community people, Debbie Taylor, to come and have a word with us, because Debbie's a holistic healer. Is that correct, Deb?
That's correct, yes.
And she's got some insights which I found to be, and a lot of other people have found to be, quite useful. And she's very, very good. So I'll introduce her now. Debbie, if you want to tell everyone who you are, what you do, etc., and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Prep. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me onto your talk this morning. I really appreciate that, and really looking forward to sharing as much as we can in a short amount of time. Well, I'm a naturopath. I'm a holistic healer, and really primarily my focus is just to bring a complete and total overall balance to our health, not just on the physical level, but on the mental, the emotional, and especially on the spiritual level as well. So that's really what I focus on.
Okay. And you actually do. You told me the name. Where you look into people's eyes.
Yes, I do iridology as well.
Okay. Yep, that's the one. I was going to say iridology, but obviously that's your ears. So, okay. In regards to, we recently had a Western Australian meeting, community meeting, and you advised everyone that part of the reason that people are feeling so just heavy and down and tired is because of what's happening in the universe at the moment. Do you want to just expand on that a bit?
Yes, absolutely. I think what a lot of us are experiencing at the moment is just an absolute bombardment of radiation, gamma rays, really at the moment, almost on a daily basis. There are certainly days where these are less, but primarily we are currently being affected by all of them. The radiation and the gamma rays, primarily from our sun, the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections or solar flares, as a lot of people would know these. These affect all of us at some level. Our immune systems are working far harder. Many are complaining of experiencing brain fog, confusion, headaches, dizziness, feelings of confusion, colds and flu-like symptoms, stomach bug influences. All of these are being experienced by many of us as our body and our immune system is actually trying to attack and literally trying to diffuse the situation in our bodies at the moment. So what's happening is that our bodies are trying to neutralize these toxins and detoxifying at the same time. So we can certainly understand why so many of us are actually experiencing such incredible levels of fatigue and exhaustion.
Yeah, that's I'm one of those. I'm feeling bloody terrible half the time. Um,
Yes, you'll be surprised how many people are actually